People with disabilities make up 19% of our population, but what many don't realize is they make up the largest minority group in the U.S. However, only 39% of employees with disabilities disclose it to their managers. Joining us today to talk about that, Nadine Vogel with Springboard Consulting. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule on a Friday. Let's talk about this. Why do you think employees hide this during the interview process and even when they start working?
Employees hide their disability for a variety of reasons. First, there's fear of if I disclose, you might not want to hire me because of fear. Second would be, how will I be treated on the job after? Will you assume every time I'm out it has to do with my disability?
Okay.
And the third part we hear often from folks with disabilities is they don't always know the right way in which to disclose.
It's kind of like finding a good fit, though. That can really help. So for the people that have the disabilities and the family and friends around them, what's a good fit? What should they be looking for in a job?
So what someone wants to look for in a job if they have a disability, I suggest is, let's see what they're doing around disability today. Go onto their public website.
All right.
See if they talk about having disability employee resource groups. If they have videos on their site, are the videos captioned?
Interesting.
When they're talking about diversity and inclusion, is disability or ability part of it?
Okay.
And lastly, and absolutely, if someone is blind or has a visual impairment or can't use a mouse or a keyboard, is that website accessible so that they can actually interact, submit their resume, apply for the job?
Interesting questions. Is this in the interview process, in the application process, even should you be disclosing your disability right away?
The issue of whether to disclose a disability or when to disclose is really a personal decision.
Okay.
If someone has a visible disability, it's out there.
Right.
But even if someone has a visible disability, sometimes we make an assumption that's different than what the disability is.
Sure.
And we'll assume that this person needs an accommodation of some kind, and maybe they don't.
Okay. You've seen this play out in the workforce.
Morning, noon, and night, 7 days a week. I hear from people with disabilities, and I also hear from companies.
Okay.
So yes.
What about the ones disabilities, or many that aren't visible, that you might not be able to see, and you wouldn't know unless that person told you?
Absolutely. There are a variety of invisible disabilities, from learning disabilities. We have many college students today that have learning disabilities, but they're intelligent and they can absolutely work effectively. We have folks that have mental health related type issues, folks that may be on the autism spectrum, neurodiverse. That's a big topic we're talking about today, and that is very invisible.
Okay. Well, there is legislation that's been passed. It's on the side of people with disabilities, make sure they're treated fairly. In fact, the Americans with Disabilities Act just celebrated, I believe it was 29th anniversary.
Yes.
How far have we come? Here we are in 2019. Still work to be done, I would take it, but how's it looking right now for people with disabilities entering the workforce?
As we stand today, 29 years into the Americans with Disabilities Act, I can say we've come a really long way. We've done some amazing things. However, we have so much more to go. And the reason is, when we think about people with disabilities, what we need to think about is mainstreaming. Mainstreaming them into our workforce, our workplace, our marketplace, not as some special group. Right? It shouldn't matter if you use a wheelchair or if you have green eyes. If you have the skills and the talent, absolutely. It's about giving everyone equal access to show their success.
I thank you so much for joining us again. That's
Thank you.
Just really information you can really use, and all just kind of be treated equally in the workforce.
Absolutely.